Hello, hello! Since I've recently made a Congo commentary, it was only natural that I should also make an American battleship commentary. So I chose a ship that is still on the part of the American battleship line, where they are still extremely slow. Now a lot of people struggle with these American battleships because first of all, they don't have the range of the Japanese counterparts, and second of all, they are very slow in comparison. The max speed of this ship is 21.1 knots, which is often enough to basically get you left behind everyone, or so people think. Now, as you can see, this ship boasts an incredible armament of firepower. It's got 12 guns, which is amazing, and unlike the Fuso, it only has 4 turrets, which is actually much better because you have less citadels to hit, less ammo magazines to be hit, like the Fuso has. So, what do I mean when I say that the speed is more than enough? Well, the thing is, unlike the Japanese ships that are snipers, who can basically, they can move with the battle and they can stay at range if they so wish, even though I don't recommend that playstyle. But for a lot of new players, it's easier to stay within the battle, stay within range, and basically use that speed and range to your advantage to always be able to shoot at something. Now, the American ships, especially the New York, the Colorado, the New Mexico, they lack this because they have such slow speed. Now, the thing is though, the New Mexico isn't a sniper. Yes, I have the range upgrade on it that gives it a 17.3 kilometer range, but you're not supposed to be sniping with this. Your dispersion simply isn't good enough, as you can see here, for example. This ship is a brawler. It has an absolutely amazing rudder shift time of 13.5 seconds. In fact, many of the American lower tier ships have this amazing rudder shift time. They are meant to be more in your face than sitting back and sniping. Especially the Colorado is this kind of ship with all its armor. So instead of trying to sit back and snipe, you should be charging straight into the battle, which you can see I'm doing here. Now, the reason I have the range upgrade is if I see targets on the way to the battle, I can take shots at them, like here. Get some additional damage on the way. The reason for this range is not so I can sit back and snipe using it, because if I wanted to play a sniping battleship, I would have rolled a Japanese battleships, since they are much better at this thing, especially at these tiers. The Congo, the Fuso, they have the range and the much better dispersion to use it, but in return they lack the thick armor this one has and maneuverability it has. So as you can see, I'm basically just taking some shots at this Cleveland on my way there. Now, just because your dispersion is random doesn't mean that you at times can be very effective from range, as you see here. That's 19,000 damage done to that Cleveland. Basically, he's gotten wrecked, and I'm still only on my way to battle. Now, I repaired... No, actually, no, I didn't repair good. I was about to say I'll repair the first fire. I just used the heal. Now I repair because I'm in cover. He can no longer set fires on me, so there's no point enduring the full duration. Once again, I take the shots on my way to the battle, not sitting back and avoiding the battle, but on my way there. And that's basically how you're supposed to be playing. This ship. And the firepower on the ship is insane. You can see just how much damage you do on the way there. Like, I'm still only sailing towards them, and I've already done 40,000 damage on the way. Of course, at range there is a luck factor involved, because your dispersion isn't very good. But much like the Congo with planning your turret traverse, you very much have to do the same thing here, because your reload on this New Mexico is actually incredibly slow. You have a 34.6 second reload, which is pretty much much worse than you can get on stuff like Montana and Yamato. So you have a slow turret traverse and a very slow reload. So what you want to do is make every one of your shots count, and that's why you kind of want to get close to the enemy, because if you try to engage in this sniper duel, they will simply pump out more damage than you do, and with better accuracy than you do, so eventually they will basically outmatch you. Or well, stats wise you might have better aim and so forth, better angling, but stats wise they hold the advantage if you try to sit back and snipe. But when you get close and brawling, when you can bring the full power of these 356mm guns to bear, like you see what happens when I land a lot of shells on someone. That was another New Mexico, that was what, 20k damage, because I landed so many shells on him. That's what you want to get. You want to get close enough so that your accuracy is basically 100%. That's when the New Mexico shines. So that's why I'm basically taking this extremely aggressive route. You see I'm almost charging up the middle. just to get closer to the enemy. Yes, I might get torped by the Farragut and so forth, but it's worth the risk. Eating a bit of damage on the way just to be able to bring the strength of my ship to bear is well worth the sacrifice. And that's a thing a lot of American battleship players don't understand, is the fact that yes, you have to make some sacrifices to get close, but once you get close, that's where you truly start becoming a terror, and that's where the ship truly starts shining. Because your excellent maneuverability honestly allows you to outplay any Japanese battleships with ease at close range. You can angle faster than they do, you can turn around, shift around, any unexpected threats come around, you have no issues turning around to avoid them. So in close combat you are much stronger than they are. And of course the firing angles aren't bad either. No, they're not the best, but they're definitively not bad. This Congo is giving me a bit of broadside. I'm gonna see if I can land some more shots on him. That's the one I citadel earlier. Some torps, but I've been constantly shifting and changing my course since I've been expecting them, so I'm not too worried. Just turning again to give more broadside, trying to go for the citadel. The citadel is the biggest citadel is located underneath the smokestacks, the boiler room, the engine, so to say. So getting a hit in the engine is a citadel, but you can also get citadels by hitting the ammo magazines underneath the turrets. For example, on the Cleveland, it's usually easier to citadel him in the ammo magazines, or in the frontal turret, or frontal citadel even, since it has a two-way split citadel. No citadel, but you see the sheer damage that you do with AP. That was 4 hits, 11k damage. Especially when he gives this much broadside, there is no way he can basically bounce my shells. Someone said hello, I didn't even notice it while I was playing this game. One of my shells penned into the boiler room, so that's the automatic citadel damage. Here I'm going for his citadel. I managed to hit the citadel. It's actually not that easy on the Cleveland, since it has a fairly small citadel and it's split in two. So if you go straight underneath his smokestacks or between them, you will actually not hit the citadel because there's a gap there. That's unfortunate. My shells got stopped by the rock. But I'm actually going to slow down here. Well, I'm speeding up a bit just to angle myself in case the Farragut decides to pop out from behind the rock and try to torp me. I'm constantly keeping an eye on where the Farragut is. The Cleveland spotting plane is giving us vision of him. And I'm basically setting up an ambush for the Cleveland because they can no longer see me. I'm tempted to turn for the... No, but I think the Cleveland could probably handle that Farragut. Honestly, I believe in my Cleveland backup. He's smart enough to push up with me, which is something highly commendable. It doesn't happen often, but definitively commendable. Cleveland popped out. I'm gonna get a volley on him and then just speed up behind the corner. I'm undetected. Not the best damage really, but it's basically free damage. I didn't receive any in return, so of course I'll take it. Now the Farragut obviously has some idea what he's doing. He popped an offensive smoke and he's wrecking my Cleveland bunny. So I'm just going to charge him. Now there's a high risk of eating some torps here. But once again, I want to get closer. I want to keep getting into their faces. I want to keep basically jamming these big guns. Okay, that didn't sound sexual at all. Basically up their face. And that's the kind of damage you do. Just so much pure damage, pure firepower. Yes, the reload is long, but every time you shoot, if you're close enough so that you can make that volley count, you just murder ships. You just wreck them all. It's the ship is incredibly potent. It just has to be played to its strengths rather than basically try to play it as a Japanese battleship. Okay, I'm going for the frontal citadel. Under the front stack. Yeah, okay, I hit it with the first shell, I think. That's good. Okay, here comes some torps. I kinda expected this. How many do I eat? Well, I ate 3 torps. That's not the end of the world, because I got the Cleveland and I've forced him out of his smoke, which means I will be able to kill him now. I'm risking broadside here, but I just saw the New York shoot, and he was still shooting HE. So I'm counting that if he shoots, it'll be an HE volley that comes from him. And it's worth it to get rid of this Farragut. I'm training hard. I'm hoping what comes out of this New York is still HE, because he hasn't had time to switch ammo. Yeah, he's still shooting HE. He hasn't had time to switch ammo yet, if he even understands. At low tiers, they usually don't understand the value of AP ammo. They often stick to HE a lot, which is obviously a grand mistake. Even against angled ships at this close, your penetrative power is more than enough to blast right through the ship. Now, I'm not going to use all my turrets here, because the Congo is right behind him. I shoot 2 turrets. Did he die? Yes, he died. Okay, then I use the other 2 turrets on the Congo. That's something you need to keep in mind. If a ship has 1 or 2k HP, don't just blast your entire broadside into him. Like, why bother? You're wasting half your volley, especially on the New Mexico that has a 34-second reload. That's more than half a minute you'll have to wait simply because you wasted your ammunition. Use as many turrets as you need, take your time, show a little patience and see if he's dead or not, and then switch target. Now this Cleveland has been effectively using me as a meat shield. He's basically hiding behind me and spamming non-stop fires on these guys, which is intelligent play. They want to shoot me because I'm close, so he's using my tanking power basically to his advantage. He didn't even have much HP left. That's what I meant, that at this close range your shells just punch straight through the ship, whereas because of, you saw how I'm angled, I bounced most of his shells. That's why you always want to have a bit of an angle, not go straight at someone, just a bit of an angle. Makes you a bit harder to hit. Now he's giving me broadside, so he will certainly be dead. Yeah, he's panicking, he's trying to get away. Once again, I took my time. I only shot 3 turrets and saved my last turret for the bug. Because once again, why waste those last 3 shells and have to wait for the huge reload when I can simply save them for the next target? And this is when I basically want to be that cruiser right now, because this is the power that you get as a cruiser when you have an offensive battleship pushing in front of you. You have someone tanking all the damage, someone eating all those shells, someone with heavy armor who can withstand it, and you just get to basically spam HE, spam fires, deal damage, which is what cruisers are fantastically good at. That's why their effectiveness is measured in DPM, which means damage per minute. So the Cleveland has great DPM, and he basically gets to show it now because I've been tanking all the damage. You see how little HP he had? I'm basically tanking all the damage for him. So not only am I dealing a significant amount of damage, I'm also tanking a significant amount of damage for my Cleveland buddy, who manages to get a lot of work done and a lot of exit fire and HE spam going in the background. So obviously worth it, or obviously how you're supposed to be playing these ships. This is like the synergy between battleship and cruiser that's supposed to exist in the game, but honestly it's quite rare to actually see it, because a lot of the time people don't understand how to play their ships to their full potential. Now I'm basically, while I was basically slaughtering this side of the map with quite a few ships, our team, who had a majority on the other side, completely lost. They got absolutely wrecked. Now I'm basically trying to tempt the enemy into coming and fight me, because it's my only chance of winning. They're already started capping. Getting into the cap at this point cannot help me in any way. There's absolutely nothing I can do. So I'm trying everything in my power to bait them to come and pick a fight with me, because that's my only chance of winning. Okay, this guy obviously knows that I'm just manipulating, because the smart play from them is obviously to go for the safe cap. There's absolutely no doubt that the smart play for them is simply to go for the straight cap and win the game right out. There's absolutely no point for them to hunt me down. But I gotta try to manipulate a bit of psychological warfare, see if some of them are dumb enough to come and challenge us instead. And this Karlsruhe managed to pop out at a very unfortunate angle, because first of all, I can't use my maneuverability to attack him. Like, if I try to turn hard right here, he will be hidden behind the island. So my only option actually is to turn my turrets around. So this is a bit unfortunate, because it limits my firepower greatly. But that's the thing, he surprised us. We had no idea he was coming from there, no warning, no nothing, so nowhere I could prepare for this. And this is where one of the weaknesses, of course, of the ship comes out. Even though you can maneuver well, very slow turret traverse. But then again, The very slow turret traverse is something that affects all battleships, so I guess you can't really say it's exactly New Mexico special. Now I'm turning hard left because he's obviously going to torp. I was hoping to basically get close enough for him to focus me instead of the Cleveland, but the Cleveland already died, so now I'm probably going to eat... Yeah, I'm slowing down. I'm only going to eat one torp. It's not the end of the world, but a bit annoying. That's pretty much it. Whoa. Okay, that was a bit hasty. I was a bit hasty. I could have waited for a better shot there instead of taking a bit of a hasty shot. But in the end, it didn't really matter because, let's face it, it's Karlsruhe. There's absolutely no chance of me dying here. Karlsruhe is a bit of a sorry cruiser. And he's deleted. Anyway, I'm trying to bait them still more. I have done a significant amount of damage now, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Still trying my last attempts to bait them, because it looks like they have 2 battleships and a DD just sitting in our cap, and they're gonna win this game. And regardless of my best efforts, I couldn't win this game for our team, which happens. Oh well, yeah, it happens. It's not much you can do at this point. I'm pretty satisfied with my own gameplay, but sometimes your team isn't really quite up to par. We had a New Mexico that was AFK as well. I tried to taunt them still at the end. But yeah, of course, they did the smart choice and they kept and they won the game. Achievement wise, I got a lot of survivability things and some damage things, of course. Team score wise, it tells a pretty good story. The Cleveland that was with me is second, no surprise, since he could use me as a meat shield and get a lot of damage done. But the rest of our team didn't really achieve much. Damage wise, I did 205,000 damage, which is very, very respectable in my opinion for a tier 6 game. So, even though it ended up in a loss, I thought this showed the pure close range power that the New Mexico really has. Anyway, let's move on over to modules, upgrades, and captain perks. I will start with the modules. Now, I think the first thing you should go for on the New Mexico is honestly probably range, because you feel pretty crippled without the range upgrade. Because unlike the Japanese counterparts that are absolutely spoiled with range, you lack it. You lack it a lot, and that's something that you really end up wanting. So I would probably go for the range upgrade first. After that, the hull upgrade. Just get the B1, it gives you a nice buff in pretty much everything, as you can see the difference here. And the third upgrade, probably speed, honestly, because the default speed of 18.5 is even worse than the default speed of 21. Both are terrible. But 18.5 means literally carriers can outrun you, which is just sad. So range, hull, speed, and final hull. That would be my order of business. Note that you have to keep, when you go for the speed upgrade this late, you have to keep up a very aggressive style as I did. You have to push into the enemy and like really get into their face. So you actually can bring your armor and gun power and maneuverability to bear. Because if you play pussy with this ship, then suddenly you'll realize everyone is outside of your range and you're completely outside the battle, and because of your speed you have no time of catching up, and that's why you get threads on the forums of people going, oh, I can't get anything to shoot at, I can't catch up to anyone, blah 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 blah. But they don't realize that this is a problem that started much earlier at the start of the battle, when they should have been basically charging into the battle to actually make themselves be powerful, be useful, bring that full American power to bear. Now, gun upgrade wise, obviously main battery upgrade, they're your bread and butter. You don't want to lose any of these turrets, especially since they are so huge and chunky and give you so much damage. Second upgrade, range. The others here are, the only one I would even consider out of these is the AA guns, because you already have pretty decent AA. Upgrading the range would make you even stronger against CVs, but definitively range. It's something that, let's see, what was Colorado's range? Yeah, you benefit from it on the Colorado as well. So definitively range. Now, don't think that because I go for the range upgrade you're supposed to sit back and snipe. No, you're getting this range so that, as you saw I did, when you run into the battle itself you can be useful on the way there. It gives you more flexibility. So definitely range upgrade. Here, damage control, not because it's a great upgrade, but because the other two are useless for you as a battleship. You'll very rarely use engine and very rarely lose steering, so don't bother. And finally, this is something that's somewhat debated, but I always prefer damage control, because especially on this ship where your rudder shift time is already so good, you can more than enough get away with having damage control instead, which reduces the time of flooding a fire by 15%, so easily the best one. Consumable wise, you don't necessarily have to go for the premium repair party. I prefer to do it though, but because I have no money issues. But the one thing that you always want to get is the premium repair itself, or damage control party. Simply because the cooldown on this is 120 seconds, it's 80 on this, so that's 40 seconds of fire and flooding time that you can remove. So definitely go for the premium repair. It will make your battleship life a lot more enjoyable. Now here I would prefer to get a fighter aircraft, but since you can't, you just have a spotting, and you saw exactly how often I use it in the game, 0 times, because I think it's junk. And captain perks. And of course, on a battleship, usually I feel situation awareness is fantastic on all ships, so I would get it on the battleship as well. But one of the best captain perks on the battleships is without a doubt basic survivability. It's basically another one of these modules added on top of each other, so it reduces the fire by another 15%, so definitively worth using. And turret of course in the second line, because there's nothing else that even comes close to being as useful. This one is, as I said before, not worth it. Third, I go for superintendent. Now there's some argument here. Some people feel that they can't use all their heals, so they would rather use vigilance and or high alert or something like this. But personally, I feel if you play the type of game that you should in the New Mexico, that is getting in your face, brawling, constant fighting, constantly keeping the enemy within your meager range and meager speed, then you'll very much end up using all your heals like I did. So superintendent definitely. The 4-point perk, I've gotten 1 point in secondary armament just because I like the AA and the secondary buff. But here, the second one I would get is, or the 4-pointer I would get here is advanced sparring training. As you can see, I have a fresh captain, because once again I don't want to influence the results of my commentaries by having some super pimped out level 18 captain that just have every perk and just face rolls to everyone. Anyway, that was my New Mexico commentary. I hope you enjoyed it.